I normally tend to be very, yeah, in a way minimalist. I like to have a very, to dig in a place, to stay in one place in depth. And in apparently, let's say in songs and voices, there are several elements that might seem far from one another, but in fact, the poetic core of the two pieces is not is quite close, I would say, because in both pieces is the idea that one idea is that the singing, a voice singing, is not a banal or obvious thing. It's quite very a moment, very important moment, and on one side is very linked to what music is, because the first musical instrument is voice. The first musical sound we hear in life is a voice singing, and always in since human exist, human they were together, and in their moment of being together they sang something, and this is still true. So now I'm referring to la nuda voce piece. uh, I heard my grandmother singing, right? And in the countryside, these songs, and in the countryside, still you can. I assisted to moment where somebody started singing and the other joined, and those were moments where the human community was together. So it's like a very incredible moment. Fact that singing and making sound together is part of being human in a human community. So in a way, this is a lot what La Nuda Voce is. The text, I think, is a beautiful text, is from oral poetry from my country, from my region, actually, specific point where I was born and grown up. And it's about voicelessness. So it's about the voice itself, and it basically it says, "Where is my voice, which was so beautiful? Where is my voice, which was so bright? It was heard from all the lands. It was heard from village to village, and from one village to another. It was heard. Where is my voice? Where has it left?" So this feeling of losing voice, I feel that it's very, very in the, I would say, in the spot of our world we live in now. So obviously there are so many people that are voiceless, yes, and that they are concretely voiceless, and that's already a huge number of people. But also we lucky people that are have a voice and have the right to speak our thoughts. We are voiceless in a sense because we feel, I mean, I feel that way to, if I think of my voice, that our voices are kind of useless, not heard. So I have the feeling that this moment where somebody, as I assisted it in the countryside, like with a community of people, somebody sings and that's not useless, and other people join, and doesn't matter if their voices are nice or not nice, just or not just, and it's a fact of being a human community. And this is something that, yeah, I mean, we should think of like music as being a way of being humans, yeah, in a sense. So, and songs and voices as well, because the in songs and voices, the idea is that I started from um, the absence of voice. This is why there is this Kafka reference to the this recit where he is saying about the silence of sirens, right? That the silence was more powerful than the singing. So the idea is that the absence is even stronger than the presence, yeah. And so I started from the idea: what is the song when there is no voice singing? And in fact, the first part is just instrumental, and is the traces of what is singing without a voice, yeah, the ghost of a song in a sense. And then voices, they come in, but they are pure musical vibration. It's like bodies vibrating, and this is the mother of all sounds. Yeah, when we say I played piano and violin, and when you play an instrument, you're always taught sing. What does this mean? Is the primordial vibration. This is a sound that every sound comes from, like a vibrating string, we also have our vibrating strings in the throat, and then vibrating tube is the same principle. So basically, the voices, they come in, but they are totally integrated in the sound world. So the sound of the instrument and the sound of the voice, they are a complex whole body. Yes, and then at some point there is a voice singing, but this singing is kind of a bit broken, a bit lost. Is doesn't feel like it feels like you're remembering something, but you can't completely. And in the end of the songs and voices, this singing is completely deconstructed. There are just bribes that stay. They are lost and fragmented, and the electronics cuts it all the time. So there is this kind of deconstruction of the feeling of singing. But of course, there is an emotion in this. Deconstruction is like, it's not just technical, yeah, operation. Is again there about the feeling of loss of voice in a sense.
There is also in the end this very strong kind of
Yes.
screaming or noise. How is it called actually? I mean, this sound in the end that the voice
Yeah,
produces.
Johanna showed this to me.
Mhm.
Is a Colombian technique.
Sing. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I mean, you have written so many pieces that are fantastic, fascinating sound studies in a way. So you go into a sound like with the magnifying glass or with the microscope. But what happens in songs and voices? Because this is the big form. This is so full of contrasts. It's the expressiveness that this form creates is something that I have never heard before in your music. Is that what happened in songs and voices?
Well, probably the voice itself, because I avoided the voice for a long time, and now I'm writing a lot for voice. Like La Nuda Voce also is a 50 minutes piece. So in the end, it's in three, let's say, parts, but the three parts are connected. So it's a whole piece, long piece. Songs and Voices as well is a long piece, and also I wrote this piece Vicentino in 31 TET for six singers and two harps, which was recently recorded. And so I guess that at some point I needed to face the human voice, and this made a difference. Yes, probably is I don't know exactly, what happened. I mean, many things happened, but there was not intention of I don't know.
Um, uh, you bring in very different stories in songs and voices. First, there's this Kafka moment where Ulysses sails by the sirens and is so overwhelmed just by what's in his mind that he hears them singing while they are actually using their strongest weapon, which is silence. That's Kafka's way of thinking about Ulysses. Um, and then you mention also that this is a kind of goodbye to your sister, the piece.
Yes, that was the main thing that happened
Mhm.
actually. That was a very tragic loss, and of
So,
course it affected me in a, yeah, I mean,
mhm,
in a way that, I mean, I still will never be the same person as
mhm,
before. So obviously as an artist, I will never be the same as before as well.
mhm.
But also maybe what you were saying about sound studies is that when I was very young, I thought about music, and for music's sake, in a sense, I was so drawn to the sound world that the sound would be an end in itself, maybe. And now I'm more concerned about how music is means being human in a human community. How we are. bound together in doing music, listening to music, and how this music can carry something about our humanity, about our being human in a human community.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward very much to those performances.
Thank you.